I'd like to start by taking the opportunity to sincerely thank the Ministry of Education, Arts, and Culture and our national expert, Mr. Patrick Sam, for facilitating this debate in partnership with the UNESCO Ashford Program for Artists and Cultural Professionals. We would also like to thank the National Gallery of Namibia for hosting this important national discussion. The UNESCO Ashford Program is the operational arm of UNESCO to support member states in the design of regulatory frameworks to protect and promote the status of the artist and artistic freedom. According to UNESCO's definition, artistic freedom embodies a bundle of rights protected under international law, including the protection of artists and cultural professionals' social and economic rights, which are the very heart of the UNESCO 1980 recommendation concerning the status of artists. This recommendation was adopted because of the need for a legal framework and sustain a climate encouraging freedom of artistic expression, as well as the material conditions facilitating the release of creative talent. It recognizes that the vigor and vitality of the arts depend, inter alia, on the well-being of artists, both individually and collectively. It calls on member states to improve the professional, social, and economic status of artists through the implementation of policies and measures related to training, social security, employment, income, tax conditions, mobility, and freedom of expression. Its objectives have been reinforced through the adoption of the UNESCO 2005 Convention on the Protection and the Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions. Artists and cultural professionals often work in precarious conditions. This was highlighted and further exacerbated by the COVID crisis. Artists work primarily on a contractual, freelance, and intermittent basis. Their income often fluctuates and is prone to uncertainty. The result is lower tax contributions, leading to lower access to Social Security, pensions, and other welfare provisions. These challenges are often due to structural issues because of the lack of an enabling legal environment that recognizes artists as professionals. This requires new thinking to revise labor and social protection frameworks that take into account the unique and atypical manner in which artists work, and also takes into account gender-specific needs and challenges. I would like to emphasize that the UNESCO 1980 recommendation and the UNESCO 2005 convention do not call on states to grant artists specific privileges, but rather to recognize them as workers by giving them comparable legal, social, and economic benefits to those enjoyed by other socio-professional groups, while considering the particular circumstances of their activity through special measures. Such efforts would help to address the continuing lack of decent work opportunities in the culture sector. Some states group all measures explicitly targeting artists under a law dealing entirely with the status of the artist. Other countries opt for targeted legislation establishing specific provisions for professional artists, and many devote distinct sections of their cultural policies to this issue. Every 4 years, UNESCO launches a global survey on the implementation of the 1980 recommendation concerning the status of the artist in order to map and monitor, identify challenges and opportunities, and collect and share best practices. The information gathered through the latest survey launched in 2022 will be presented in the consolidated report during our 42nd session of the UNESCO General Conference this fall. Dedicating a law specifically to the status of the artist, rather than scattering provisions in different legislation, is likely to reinforce the message sent by governments to their citizens about the importance they attach to the role of professional artists in their countries. The adoption of status of the artist laws touches upon technical issues, including Social Security schemes, and requires strong interministerial cooperation, which are often complex. To accompany member states in this exercise, UNESCO was currently working on a methodological guide for the participatory elaboration of status of the artist laws in cooperation with the International Labor Organization, which will also be published this fall. At the same time, the International Labor Organization has published a recent paper on social protection in the cultural and creative sector, which highlights country practices and innovations. This is a wonderful resource for member states, and I encourage all of you to consult it. It presents how, in addressing Social Security benefits for artists, states can adapt their Social Security schemes to the specificities of artistic work or create new regimes. Addressing these issues today is timelier than ever. Given the recent adoption in Mexico last year of the Monteil Declaration, where ministers of culture from UNESCO member states recognize culture as a global public good with an intrinsic value to enable and drive sustainable development. They committed to reduce inequalities by strengthening the economic and social rights of artists. UNESCO is honored to be accompanying Namibia in your efforts to improve the socioeconomic protection of your artists. The National Study on Freedom of Artistic Expression and Social and Economic Rights of Artists in Namibia, written by Ole Reita and Patrick Sam and supported by our UNESCO Ashford program, provides an important basis for reflection and also a guide for today's debate. Thank you for inviting me to speak this morning and share these important guiding documents from UNESCO. I would like to wish you all a productive morning ahead and reiterate UNESCO's support to Namibia in this important endeavor. Thank you.